to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Rand Dunnigan.
You know, the other day, I was doing like all this sound for one of those like local fairs. And there's something about a fair that there's just these certain people, like if you, I don't matter which fair you've been to, probably anywhere in the US / Mexico, Canada, and Europe, it's probably all the same people show up to all these things. But do you ever notice that there's a couple people that are just there that you're just kind of like, how, you almost want to see the biopic of their life. Like, how did they get to this point? Like, what was their dreams and admirations? Or is this what it was and this is how they became?
Are they the people like, because that's the thing you never hear anymore. Back when you were kids, like you hear that thing like, I'm going to run away to the circus. And now you never hear that anymore. And it's like, well, the circus isn't doing so well. So I guess the fair, and oh shit, what am I doing here? I'm still here. I'm trapped.
Well, you know, it's like a circus and a fair almost, they've kind of like merged together. I feel like you kind of get similar people. But
Carnies.
yeah, I mean, like, and it's not the carnies. Like, the people always go, oh, the carnies. I'm like, nah, the carnies just feels like that's just like a low-end blue-collar job. That's really what a carny is. It's not the carnies. It's the random entertainers that this is probably like the only place that they could get a job, let alone I'm sitting there thinking like, who the hell's paying this guy? That's all I have to say for some of these people. Like, there was this guy. He was dressed, he was almost like a clown, but he wasn't a clown. He wasn't dressed like a clown.
Oh, that's always a good sign.
But he had a bunch of like tie-dye on, and he was riding a unicycle, and he had this like little whistle thing going on. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know if it was his hands or if it actually was. I mean, he could have been like the human instrument for all I know. And he had two little speakers like hooked onto his hips. So he's like whistling, juggling, riding a unicycle through, dressed in tie-dye, making obnoxious noise. I mean, literally, whenever he would come by, it would just always be that sound like, Mr. Obnoxious coming through! Out of the way, Mr. Obnoxious!
Well, the sad thing is, everything that guy's doing takes a lot of talent. Maybe not the noise part, but everything else. The juggling and the unicycle, all that takes a lot of talent. But it's just, I feel kind of bad, because that seems like a very old, archaic art form. Back in the day, it would be like, look at it! He's juggling and riding the unicycle and making some noise! And he's dressed funny! Now it's like, oh yeah, I've seen a bunch of shit like that in movies, and I can't do it myself, but I don't fucking care.
Well, it's like, okay, yeah, skill-wise, obviously he's put some time in it. It is impressive. I am not saying anything against that. And even his like little whistle thing, I mean, there was like a reggae band playing, and they got to a point where they got a breakdown, and he rolls on up, and he does a solo, and it's actually, like, perfectly timed in it. So you gotta give him props there, but at the same time, everybody's standing there just kind of, they got that snickery look on their face, like, who the fuck is this guy showing up thinking he can just join in our roster? It's like,
this guy and people like him, that's probably their thing, the fair. Like, what do you do? Well, I just ride around, make a bunch of fucking noise, and juggle.
Well, I mean, like, I think it works for children, because, you know, he'd ride up to like a six...
You'll be the opening act for Gallagher.
Yeah, he would, like, ride up to like a 6-year-old kid and be like, high five! High five! And the kid's like, yeah! They're, like, freaking out, you know what I mean? Because he's, like, making fucking balloon animals and shit for them. So, like, to a child, this person's perfect. To an adult, they're like, don't get near his van.
Stay away.
Yeah, exactly. Like, be afraid of this guy, you know. That high five might mean something else. But at the same time, I just look at...
It's like a werewolf bite. You high five, all of a sudden you start to get a red nose. You're closer to turn tie-dye, like, no!
You just get these skills, you start juggling stuff. You just, like, walk over to, like, the nearest concession stand, just start juggling things. Like, I don't know how this happened.
I can't stop it!
Your hands start turning to, like, the human instrument.
As you start to trip, you stumble, like a unicycle appears before you. Like, no, what am I doing?
Shit went out, like, oh! Just, like, grow onto it, like it's like a third limb.
All this shit starts to fall off this guy. Like, finally, I am free! And he just runs out of the fair.
It just, like, burns off of him. But it's just one of those ones, like, I look at it as, like, okay, like, maybe he's charging for the balloon animal. I'm trying to think about how this guy gets paid. I mean, obviously it can't be enough. I mean, if the guy was making I remember, like, I told somebody else, I'm like, if he was making, like, $5,000, like, every weekend, the guy's like, fuck it. I was like, I would become the human idiot to be $5,000 a week. I would throw all dignity out the window for that. But it's...
This dude's probably has a day job, and it's like, yo, dude, You gotta show. Oh fuck! He probably drops everything for that show.
It might be, but he could be Walsh. It could be that, or he could be the guy.
He's a martial arts instructor for all we know.
Yeah, for all we know, he could be. He probably might be. For all we know, it could be the breakdancing naked man. For all I know, too. But he had similar personality qualms to that.
That wouldn't surprise me, and that's a callback to much older episodes, folks. If this is your first time tuning in, if you're a new listener.
But no, it's just these kind of things like. I'm like, does the fair pay him? I just want to know how this works. Like, because who the fuck says, like, you got this, like, allotment of, like, okay, the county's got this much money a year so we can have a fair. What are we going to spend it on? Okay, well, we got to have rides. Okay, rides are cool. Got to have a destruction derby, yeah. Got to have the fucking tractor pull because that brings in a lot of people from God knows where. And then we got to have this clown guy riding around on unicycle. Well, fucking people hate clowns. Well, he's not really a clown. He's like a hippie on a unicycle. He's like a hippie clown.
Well, clowns are so, like... are such like an old form of entertainment. It's like how they're not even that well respected in anything anymore. I mean, maybe there is like the Legion of Clowns, which is like no. We got our place. We're like like the Clampers Society for clowns or something. But now it's like they're all
where just Batman shows up randomly, just goes in there and just gets in this big bar brawl, just like fucking clowns.
Yeah, well, they're always portrayed as villains or like serial killers or something. Remember like a month ago, not a month ago, like maybe by this point a year ago possibly, they had like all those creepy clown sightings of people just trolling others, trying to creep them out, acting like wearing clown faces.
Like they even made it like illegal in areas to be dressed up as a clown and so on.
Well, no, it was like just because they would do creepy ass shit, thinking they were being funny or clever, and like they would be wearing a creepy clown mask, walk into the woods holding an axe and waving for children to come on by. Whether they would never do anything, but still, just
be shot doing that.
Yeah, so whenever I see like stories or hear stories about some asshole getting shot or having like a pit bull sicked on him, I'm like, yeah. That's what fucking happens. Or like one guy went into someone's backyard and was waving and then just got mauled by a fucking dog. Like, yeah, asshole, that's what happens when you're being a fucking creep.
It's just one of those ones. Which I feel bad for all like the regular like clowns that are just like, I just want to entertain people. And now we gotta put up with this shit too.
I don't remember, I'm not sure if I told you, I'm not sure if you told me this. I think it may have been like my nephew went to a friend's birthday. And maybe it was you told me this, but I think it was my nephew went to a friend's
clown birthday in like 20 years, so.
Oh, I figured as much. I hope you wouldn't have
okay, just say it.
I was the clown. No, I think my nephew went to a birthday party, and his friend they hired a clown for some reason, and at some point the kid is playing one of those not a virtual reality game entirely, one of those things where you pull this thing down and look into it. You know,
like the like Beachhead 2000 or whatever, like
something like that, where you pull this thing down and look into it, and then it's almost kind of like you're looking into a submarine kind of something.
Yeah, when you become an adult, you go, when was the last time this was cleaned? That's all I thought. Like by the age of like 18, it was like, oh wait a second, I shouldn't put my head into this.
It's just, well, I don't know if you ever lived with children, there's always like, because of juice and candy and sugar, everything has this weird red, disgusting, sticky substance. Like they'll just like spill juice and whatever everywhere.
Well, I remember that reminds me of like when we were kids at Cisco's house. All his N64 controllers were like sticky from like pancake syrup.
Yeah,
it's never one of those ones. It's not all kids are like that. It's just certain kids. For some reason, not all the food makes it in the mouth or something. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, I'm just saving that for later. You see one of his nephews or nieces licking the controller.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so this kid is looking into the little little VR thing, and there's a clown apparently waiting by there for the kid to pull his head out, like surprise, kind of scare him, but kind of joke. The kid socks him in the fucking face.
Well, that's mostly like a child reaction too. I think people kind of forget that.
And the clown's like, oh fuck, all right. And he was like in the bathroom for like 10 minutes because this kid literally punched through his red nose and broke it. So, what happened to Bozo? Oh, well, little Billy socked him.
But
he should have stayed in his lane.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones like I feel kind of bad, but it's like even this guy, like the hippie clown guy or whatever, he wasn't technically a clown, but he wasn't that far off from being a clown too. He was like one of those clowns that like other clowns would sit there with their arms crossed, like he's not one of us. He's something else entirely, like they would get all judgmental about it. Like put him in the group with the mimes. we can't trust this one. He doesn't commit to the makeup.
Fuck that shit. It's an old, outdated thing. People aren't like amused by. No one laughs at a clown anymore, other than like, are you fucking serious? No, there's no joke a clown does. Sorry if we have any clown listeners, I apologize, but it's not me, it's society. I'm gonna say like, there's no joke that a clown says that makes you go, oh my god, that's so fucking good. It's really just kind of like the idea of like, is that a fucking clown?
Yeah, I mean, like it's one of those like. I like this. Like, I've never really been an anti-clown person because most people always seem to be so anti-clown. Like, I like to give them, like, you know what? If that's what they're into, good for them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I always want to be pro-clown, not like anti-clown. Like, there's people out there that be like, we should, find them all and hang them in the streets.
I'm not. It's one of those things. It's like it's not that I don't fucking hate them. I just don't really. They don't amuse me. And I'm gonna say they're probably not meant to amuse me. They're probably meant to amuse children. So, but it's also at the same time, it just seems kind of like, yeah, no one goes to see. It seems like just an outdated form of entertainment.
Yeah, like plays and Shakespeare.
Oh yeah. Oh, she said
it. Just thought I'd point that out because it's kind of in the same category. You know what's weird though is like this guy one time I was coming around, just walking around, just aimlessly around this place, because after the sound setup, what else are you gonna fucking do? And this guy, he was like literally sitting like at this table, like arms strung out across it, and he had like literally like a female version of himself sitting there. Though I never saw her ever ride around anywhere or anything like that, but she was dressed up the exact same way and everything like that. I mean, for all we know, it could have been, maybe it's his wife. I think it's like that, but. Most likely, it's probably like his sister or cousin.
Look, you knew what you're getting into, so
maybe it's like his clone. I'm not too sure. But it's just like one of those ones you look at this like, well, how much did you make, honey? I got $35 from Balloon Animal. $35? I ain't gonna fucking pay the rent.
Then she's like, I'm sorry, just gets on a unicycle, rides away slowly, sad.
She's like, I'm taking the unicycle van and we're getting out of here.
I'm taking all our kids, like 40 kids, get in this tiny little car and just drive away.
Making music the whole way. But it's just one of those ones, like, I just kind of wonder, like, I just want to know, it's like, I want to see the biopic on this guy, like, what is his life? I mean, like, at the same time, you think about it, like, you probably know the kind of kid, like, I always think back to, like, high school and grammar school and go, okay, who would be this unicycle guy? Like, who out there that we know that would probably be this? And you could kind of think of some of those kids that, like the cheese kid. I know nobody else has any idea what we're talking about. But if that guy had skill,
really bringing it home.
If this guy had skill, I'm thinking he is like that. And what the cheese kid was just some very goofy, out there, I think he might have been special ed, but not like, he wasn't like ridiculously special ed. He was just like, partially special. Enough that he would he would get like the cheese for a pretzel, but with no pretzel.
This is going back to high school, just to clarify. This is just some kid we just see around town. You would see him around town once in a while, but no, he was this kid who, there were rumors, and this is just people just being, cruel in high school. There were rumors that he was a drug baby. That's what people would say. That part of his brain was missing because his mom smoked crack when she had him. Just that shit kids say. You just go off like, well, it must be true.
Kids like to create a backstory. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what, at the end of the day, that.
I know because I know you.
Because I would do the exact same thing too. If I don't know,
you did that shit like out of college. You just came up with someone's backstory. Just like I just assumed.
I'm still doing it. I'm coming up with this guy's backstory, who's like the wannabe clown hippie thing. Like I'm giving this guy a backstory. Like you know what I mean? If I don't know a backstory, I got to create one.
Well, there's like the weightlifting dude from your comic Pizza Boys, and how you came up with that guy's backstory. The guy that inspired him came up with that guy's backstory in real life, and you didn't just tell me. I'm like, okay.
Everybody.
You told other people.
Anybody who wanted to know this guy's backstory, I was pretty much writing an unofficial biography here. But I just think about this guy. It's like, okay, does he get paid by the county? Because that just makes you wonder. It's like. Is that where you want your $2,000 of tax money to go for the weekend to go to this guy? Not saying anything against it. Once again, good for him. But I just kind of wonder. It's like, is that where that's going? Or does he literally just try to like scrape? Because I didn't see him other than making balloon animals. It's like, but like, what's he getting? Like a nickel from like every child? Like, kids don't have fucking money,
Maybe it's a salary thing. Like they just give him a stack. Like, all right, now you don't stop.
Yeah.
You always, if you're not riding a unicycle, you're fucking blowing into balloons. You got me? You don't fucking stop. It's salary.
And once it's late at night, you're fucking blowing people in the bathroom, okay?
We got to get people coming back.
Yeah, okay.
More than one
Nobody wants a fucking clown at nighttime. It's a bunch of 15-year-old punks and 45-year-old derelicts. That's the two people that show up to the fair.
You got your 6-hour window. You don't fuck this up. Or we're not going to bring you to the next state fair.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the one in Fresno.
You ain't getting nothing. You want the state fair? It's going to be big this year in California. You know what? They actually asked for you by name. They're like, we want that freak who dresses up like a hippie clown. You know what? They said that. They use those words exactly? Those words exactly. They fucking hate you.
They
want fucking 15-year-olds to go out and pelt you. I'm just really surprised because you look at the fair and there is just a lot of those 15-year-old punks. I'm like, this guy riding on a unicycle is so asking for like a kid, like a fucking 15-year-old to come up, fucking Indiana Jones style, stab like a stick through like his wheel, and he shoots off, flying across the fair, landing in some guy's like deep fryer.
I just see it kind of like, well, they got word of you about at the Atwater County Fair. So here's the next step up. Like, oh boy, they heard about me at the Atwater Fair? Yeah, you impressed there, but it's Atwater, so, you know.
Well, they're really more impressed with, like, your skills in the glory hole section of it all, but we kind of made a deal that said if you work the glory hole, you can also do the clown thing.
Just clowning around. No, you would be scared of, like, that's one of those things, because that's the last thing you want to take shit from, is just a bunch of, when you're a kid, it's like whatever, but when you're actually an adult, last thing you ever want to take shit from is a fucking child.
Well, especially a 15-year-old who's going to be like, you just can't trust a 15-year-old, you know what I mean? Like, they act...
Well, like, little children are, like, naive, and they may be cruel, but it's just because, like, they don't know empathy yet. 15-year-old, everything's gay, everything's stupid, I don't care.
Yeah, like, that guy thinks he's having a good time, fuck him. Yeah. I mean, there was a part, too, where this guy, he had a unicycle that was, like, 10-plus feet tall. And I was just like, oh my god, that right there, this is where this guy's life could end. A 15-year-old could kill this guy right here and now, and it would be considered an accident.
Well, like there's that part in Billy Madison, where there's a clown on the unicycle, falls over, face plants. He's like bleeding out of his mouth, not moving. Everyone's just pointing and laughing. And now that I'll say they kind of ruined the joke a little bit because he comes up and starts singing that one song. Like, oh, he should have stayed dead. That would have been like more fucked up.
But still, well, that's almost like how this guy would have been. If this guy would have fell in the Midway Alley, and like all those like 15-year-olds would have looked at him, and then like they would have just they might not even said anything. They might just walked away like, ew, look at a fucking clown hippie. And then all of a sudden, just like the Rolling Stones, you're just a man. As it like pans away slowly, and everybody just spreads out. Even the carnies like shut their doors.
I see this dude just I don't know. I can honestly just see this guy like, all right, well, I'm done for the night. I just want to hurry up and get back to my trailer. I'm going to take the shortcut to this alleyway. Like a real, like, just like pedaling away. All of a sudden, just like a row of kids just cover the front. He's, just go back.
They just all like slide out, like all like in silhouette. Like you can't really make out their features.
All you see is just backward. You can tell they're wearing like sideways caps. You maybe can hear the clink of chain wallets.
It's like Assault on Precinct 13.
Just emotionless.
Just full on running in like enemies and monsters.
That's what I like about Assault on Precinct 13. All the bad guys, they have no emotion. They're just like vacant stares as they just run in.
It's what I love about 70s movies is that they don't give bad guys like a reason why they're bad. They just make them pure evil. And I know some people would say like that's not 3D storytelling, and you're like, dude, that makes it something way scarier when somebody has like. No, they don't have a reason to be evil, they just fucking are. Because that's the downfall of a lot of like remakes of 70s movies. They would always give the bad guy a reason. And at the end of the day, you kind of go, well, I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I see the reason why they're doing it, so I guess I can kind of relate.
I get it to an extent, depending on the movie and depending on what we're doing. Sometimes it just seems to copy and paste that I don't really feel nothing about it. Like, I like this movie. I like I like the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek, but I heard him say in interviews like, well, you realize he's not a bad guy. He's a guy who just went down a wrong way. Try to make him sympathetic. Nah, he just blew up the whole fucking planet because he's mad about his wife dying. No, he's actually a fucking bad person. So don't come up with this bullshit. Like, he's not a bad guy. No, he just Death Starred that whole fucking
Yeah, exactly.
planet.
It's like whenever people do the thing where there's no, bad guys do not think they're bad guys. I'm like, then he's not really that much of a bad guy then. Bad guys who, revel in the fact that they're pure evil, that to me is scary.
And that's like Joker. He has this weird mixed up ideology in Dark Knight, but he it does come across as pure evil.
Yeah, that's what I like about that too. It's like there's not a reason why. Almost I will say, even though
he's complex, but he doesn't have to. You don't have to give him well, you see, my wife was killed by Batman when trying to save someone or whatever.
Yeah, it's that's the only thing about Slade's the killing joke. Sometimes that's it almost, even though it's still a good story, it's one of those ones it almost gives him almost enough reason that you can make him relatable. It's like, no, don't make him relatable. Make him just pure evil. If the only reason he's going to be relatable is if you are pure evil. But
that's what I like with the Scott Snyder kind of reboot of him.
But going into other things too is remember late at night there was this Carney powwow going on. Now I've never seen one of these before, a Carney meeting in real life, because I was just walking by. I was just turning off fucking lights, and these guys are sitting there, and the guy's yelling at me. He's they're all in this circle thing. He's
yelling at you?
They're yelling at each other. They're all just okay, you know what? The people here don't like being called a Tualamite, okay? You can't just call them that when they walk by. Jose, do you want people calling you a beaner as you walk by? Oh, no. See? That's how it is. You can't just be fucking calling. It's what the hell? I've just never seen an argument like this before. This guy yelling at these guys. It's oh, wow, is that Tualamite like this? Somebody's I take that as an offense.
I mean, I'm just having trouble imagining the Tualamite, whether you call him excuse me, I'm a Tualamite, and I do not like that term.
Yeah.
I imagine yeah, my boy.
Yeah, where is who is the person? Probably.
What'd you call my mom? That's how I imagine
that's probably what it was. Probably oh god, this guy flipped out because you called his mother a Tualamite. And he's well, I'm in Destruction Derby, so guess what? I know how to kill.
You started, Jose?
Yeah, see what you started, Jose? You thought you were just being clever and funny, and now this guy is out for blood. In his Destruction Derby car.
It's just kind of funny. This could get you out of the union. I just want to let you know that.
I'm just gonna let you know that. You know what I mean? You don't think it's much. You don't think it's it just sounds like a funny term. But guess what? It's offensive. Some people don't like it.
I thought that's what I don't know. I mean, I know that we had jokes about Tualamites back in high school, but I mean, is that the actual term? Because I know there's okay, you're Californian or you're Oregonian or whatever. Do they have the same thing apply to cities and towns?
I guess. Obviously enough that they had to have a big meeting about it, and there was a guy yelling.
Just because I don't know, it just sounds awkward in the aspect of saying listen here, you San Franciscan or you San Josean or whatever. Just keeping the to
other major cities.
Modestoian.
Well, I guess San Francisco does have it because people always go, "Oh, you Frisco person."
You Frisco? That sounds more of just kind of oh, he's from Frisco. It just doesn't sound like an official term. I mean,
well, I don't think any of these are official terms. I don't think Tualamite's an official term. If you look that up in the dictionary, you ain't gonna find it.
What comes to mind is literally some kind of termite man. That's what comes to mind when I hear Tualamite.
Even though for some reason I think if you look it up, it has something the word. I almost want to say maybe we even did this on a podcast, or maybe it was before podcasting. But I want to say that the term Tualamite has something to do with mining back in the day.
That might be something to do with it, yeah.
But it's just kind of weird. And then there was this other guy there that. Okay, this guy, I literally saw, he was in a van. I don't know if he lived out of a van, maybe he had somewhere else, but he was called Hollywood on Wheels. So I'm assuming this guy appears at any fair. So if you've been to a fair recently, this guy might have been there.
Mm.
And this was one of those guys I don't know, this is what his routine was. He was a prop comic, but all he really did is he set up a 15-minute audio thing where it just literally played a mix of pop songs. I mean, there were some classic rock songs, things like that in there, and then clips of movie stuff. And then he had weird sort of reenactments / singing and dancing I mean, like, he did the thing, like, where he played, like, Bruno Mars as 24 Karat, and then he went over and he flipped this thing up, and there's, like, he had 24 carats hanging in the air, like, real corny stuff. But it's that kind of thing where, like, you kind of just, well, I mean, like, we were just fucking sitting there, like, man, the audio, and you could, like, just see it to the right, so it's like, you couldn't help but just fucking look.
So is this, so, all right, he'd be playing, so he'd almost be, like kind of like wordplay, or... So all right, so you say he holds up 24 carats. So if he's playing something from a movie, like, well, give me some more examples.
Well, he did the Clint Eastwood line from Fistful of Dollars, not Dirty Harry, but Fistful of Dollars, where he's talking about his horse, and then he was just out there like, I think he might have like a cowboy hat or something like that, and he's just like just wording it. And then, he'd go to another song, and then he'd start dancing and everything like this. And then the sad part is, and then he'd be walking around, like, dressed like Trump and everything like that. And then you realize when he takes his mask off, this guy's, like, fucking 70. That's what seems so sad about it. This guy was, like, the wrestler of, like, carny performer comedians.
You can't go out there and stage dive in the Trump mask. That's my finishing move, Doc. That's all I got left. We'll kill you. Well, he goes out there, has that moment where he's looking at you like, they told me I was washed up. They told me I'd be done with this. But you're my family, and I don't stop until you say I'm done. Does the stage dive and just slow mode, like, cut to black.
Well, I literally just pictured, because, like, strange enough, this guy actually had, like, an audience, like, around him. But I think it's just more that thing, like, you almost just stand and, like, people just stand and look just because it's like, what the fuck is this? I think it's more of that kind of reaction. But, you got children cheering, of course, just children like anything. And then, I don't like pictures just after this, like, children cheering, like, was that funny? Was it funny? Yeah! Yeah! Just cuts to him sitting, like, on the fucking, like, metal chair folded out, smoking a cigarette, 70-something years old. Nobody around him.
Who knows? Maybe this guy has a wife back in his trailer, like, you fucking killed it, honey. Like, oh, yeah, thank you, sweetie.
I am so funny.
It's Hollywood on Wheels?
It's called Hollywood on Wheels.
Fuck.
I mean, and he had, like, just these little different routines, and he probably did it, like, 10 times a day, the same routine over and over. But this is the way I kind of look at it, is I just go, dude, this guy's probably been doing this since, like, the fucking 70s. That's what I started thinking. I was like, what?
How to be cutting edge back then?
Yeah, probably back in the 70s, it was probably hip and cool. But now it just kind of looks like, to me, it's like,
you seen me standing on my own. You seen me.
Well, the thing is, it's just when I look at comedy like that, I go, there's nothing original to it. I mean, none of his stuff is his own material. You know what I mean? It's the only thing creative he's done is line things up and then choose props for everything. I don't mean to pull him down, but you know what I mean? It's not like he's writing jokes. It's not like he's, doing. I just kind of wonder about that kind of stuff,
Well, I'll say this. I'm not, looking to bring this guy down either, but I mean, it's the county fair. So you probably get what you can for cheap probably. And from there, I mean, there's a reason why this guy's probably not playing at some bigger venue or doing something like that. And you probably get people. It's probably leaning on, like, because think about, I guess this is like the public performance equivalent of, like, the scary movies or disaster movies. Just current of the moment. People laugh like, oh, I know that, and then walk away and forget about it.
I mean, that's totally what it is. It is totally like oh, I get what he's doing. Oh, that song. Oh, that movie clip, But it's just one of those ones, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, maybe these guys, it's like, well, like, hey, I'm fucking still performing. Fuck it. That's all I need. That's all I need.
If he likes it, just let him do it. Yeah. I mean, I'll say, like,
I'm not saying anything against him not doing it. I'm just questioning all these things. I just want to kind of know more. I want to know this backstory. I want to see what was this guy like at 25 years old? What was he, like, achieving? You know what I mean? What was his goal in life? What led him to this path where you literally, instead of kind of going up the hill, you start going underneath the mountain?
I'll say I kind of fell down the YouTube hole one day, and I overheard some shit about Gallagher. Mm-hmm. So I was looking him up, and you mentioning the fair thing also kind of reminded me. He's full on. I think you actually might already know this, but he's apparently full on, like, just crazy now, kind of crazy rambling old man, and doesn't really know what he's doing. And he's also not that funny. I never really found him that funny back in the day. But yeah, he's
Really,
just.
I like Gallagher, but see the thing is, Gallagher still had like jokes. He was
But
still like a stand-up comedian that you used props on top of it.
from what I just never really found him that funny. But regardless for how he is now, though, it was one of those things where I listened to listen in multiple interviews where he just kind of went crazy in the middle of the interview saying, no one listens to me. No one gets like me. Why don't I have my own show? Why is this guy popular? Why did Carlin get popular, but not me? You know, that kind of shit. And I'm just like, well, I'm just going to look at some of his more recent stand up. And I did. And it was like, it literally sounded kind of like, you know, you like your science teacher trying to be funny to a classroom of high school students.
Oh, I bet you that's what it was, because like the last routines I saw of his were like in the 80s.
Like so. I could see then being kind of all right, being kind of funny, but as time went on,
because I thought those ones were pretty good actually back in the day. So, but then there's always those weird things too, like those rumors where it's like, oh, he sold his act to like his twin brother or something like that.
I don't know about that shit, but I mean,
well, that just sounds so like fucking bizarre. That sounds like a 15-year-old fucking making up his like backstory.
Going back to this though, I remember like because he got into he was on Mark Maron's podcast, and I was just listening to it archived, and he said, yeah, this is the one he walks out on partway through, and they're talking at first, and you can see Mark Maron trying to just shove off some kind of comments. He's like, look, you made some kind of racist jokes, and I'm not going against it. I just kind of want to know the inside, your defense for it. And then he gets all like, oh, so you're getting all politically correct on me. Blah, 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 blah. Like, no, I'm not trying to get all politically correct. I'm just curious, coming from your angle, what is it? Like, what is it you're trying to say? If you want to say those jokes, say those jokes. And then it just gets derailed and just goes, eventually ends with like Gallagher walking off. But at some point he says, well, you can't play at a state fair with that. They mentioned someone like Patton Oswalt. You can't play at a state fair like that with that kind of humor. And then Mark Maron's like, why the fuck would you want to play the state fair? It just slipped out.
Well, you know, like, and a state fair is not so bad. You know, it's when you're at like the regular fairs. I think that's because, you know, a state fair, like, people always consider that like, oh, that's a low end one there. It's like, well, state fair's still pretty fucking big, like, or at least maybe.
If you're like, I think if you're a well-established comedian,
and you get a gig at a state fair is probably like way bigger than like, well, I don't know. I bet you anything state fairs are much bigger in fucking other states, because California is most of the place where you think things are big, and then you realize that other states are like way bigger.
Mm-hmm. No, I get you. Well, at the same time though,
I saw Ted Nugent at the state fair, and it was like just like a regular concert.
At the same time, though, I think that like it's one of those things. If you're maybe a stand-up comedian, like a state fair seems like a step down. If you're like a big-time guy, you know.
Well, I mean, if you're like really big, I mean, yeah, I mean, but I feel like as well as ones like if you're kind of already on like the B roll, the state fair to me is not. I mean, it's no different than playing at just like a club. I feel, you know what I mean? I mean, if you were like fucking, if you're like Kevin Hart and you just did that like Look at Me movie or whatever, you're like, look at how many fucking people are in my audience, and the next thing you know, you're playing at like the fucking like, I don't know, Missouri State Fair. That would be a step down. But if you're just playing at a regular club, I'll even say this, like the size of Christopher Titus's club, like when we saw him, you know, just a regular audience, like a state fair is probably more people than that. So
yeah, maybe just because
I think it's gotten this kind of bad rap, and more what I think, it's not really like a state fair, it's sometimes just like a regular fair. I think that's kind of like, but at the same time, a gig's a gig. I mean,
yeah. Well, but I was gonna say though, I also feel like it might be. I mean, I'm not trying to bring it down. You said Ted Nugent, but also I think that's almost kind of like a lot of his audience. A lot of his audience are the people that probably would want to. Not saying like,
yeah, they want to see a rodeo and a fucking tractor pull, and then they're gonna go see Ted Nugent.
Yeah, like that's his wheelhouse. That makes sense. So it wouldn't make sense for someone like Patton Oswalt to go to a state fair and do like, you know, dick jokes or make Star Wars references or something like that.
Yeah, because once again, like I've noticed that generally a fair's target audience is people about 45 years old, kind of derelict-y, you know what I mean? And then 15-year-old punk kids. Like
Bill Ingolf from Blue Collar Comedy Tour could probably kill at a state fair.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, those guys, I wouldn't see. That's what I mean. It's like I wouldn't consider that a bad gig for those guys. It'd be like, oh my god, it'd be fucking perfect. But yeah, I think it just takes the right person. Like if you're kind of if you're kind of like alternative, state fair's not going to help out. Or any fair in general. But you know,
I'm having trouble imagining Joe Rogan at a state fair.
Straight enough, I bet you Joe Rogan would kill at a state fair though too, because lots of times, it sounds weird, but like a lot of Joe Rogan's audience are like, they're kind of like those it sounds weird. It's like they almost do slightly redneck things, but they're not like full on conservative. You know what I mean? Like the kind of people that are like, well, I like going outside and I like hunting and I like, these things, but I'm not like full on like Confederate flag waving.
Yeah, well, he definitely comes across as like alpha male kind of bro, but he has very like kind of like left leaning values to a certain degree. So that's what makes him so interesting to me. That he's kind of like, because my thing is like a lot of times alpha male bros just really fucking annoy me. But if you can come across smart and not condescending, then it's just like, oh, this guy, he's what you should strive to be.
Yeah, as long as you're not putting other people down, that's the key thing. But like, I bet you he would actually kill at a state fair too, just because I think a lot, about half the audience there, not all of them, but half of them might. If somebody's gonna like a podcast, sometimes like Joe Rogan's mostly a go-to one.
I said that. I guess I'm thinking more of his most recent special, but I guess it's kind of one of those things like, because I've seen people like he's not conservative enough or whatever. But I could actually see him kind of. Maybe that wasn't the best example on my end, but I guess I'm thinking more of like making more kind of like jokes on Trump or making jokes on like Duck Dynasty, like he did on his last special. Like that kind of shit would probably make some people go, I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, because like, boy, at the fair,
he'd probably be smart enough not to do that at that crowd though. So
it's amazing like how many like fucking like right wing like conservative booths there are there. Because there was literally, there's the one like Democratic one where it had like old people sitting there like, oh, you're gonna vote next.
Remember Carter?
Yeah, remember Carter? Yeah, like here, get the Carter bumper sticker. We still have some, but I mean, there was Not only was there the Republican booth, whatever, that's just normal. But then you get to like, there was literally like the full on like hardcore right wing one where it's just got like their fucking like you could get like a giant ass like Trump like poster, and you can get
like an elephant fucking a donkey.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, grab your fucking guns. Fucking the apocalypse is coming. T-shirts. And I remember the weirdest thing too is there was the guy that was like running it. He had like the most high pitched, gayest voice, which sounds so weird because you would just hear him. He'd be like, "Hey, you gonna get these pro gun shirts? Yeah, I got pro gun shirts right here. You hear these pro gun shirts? Get your Trump stuff. Get your Trump." And it's just like, what the. You think this gets like, how the hell do you get so far being conservative with a voice like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes
if you don't like fucking Trump, then you are a fucking faggot.
I feel like you get some people that maybe they were kind of bullied their whole life, so maybe out of that
they're like, you know what? I'm gonna become full on conservative. Fuck those guys. Grabbing my guns, grabbing my Republican banners.
Get my tight little camo shirt.
Yeah. Ooh, it looks so sexy in that.
Yeah. Ooh, it's so tight. You can't flex too much. Oh, just might slip right off.
Oh.
No, I feel like it's one of those things where maybe those guys, they're trying to, like, look how tough I am. Look how strong I am. I don't give a fuck.
I think that's what it is. I literally think it is somebody, like, trying to, like, push their chest up against everyone else.
Not closeted, per se, but more of just not really, just try to act tougher than what they really are.
It's either that or it's just they had like a father that was just always sitting there drinking beer like, Bobby, fucking gay. Drinks another beer, throws it at his fucking head. Fucking gay, Bobby. I see you. I'll prove him fucking wrong.
I'll show him
who's the biggest conservative in this household.
Bobby's bed is actually in the living room, so it's not like he can go hide in his room and lock the door.
Bobby, shut the fuck up. Sports is on. Throws another beer in his fucking head. Oh, Dad, that one was already half filled too. He's like, yeah, the next one's gonna be a full one too, and I'm gonna make you buy me more beer because you make me wasted.
With your stupid fucking face, I just gotta chuck something at it. But I came from your genes, not my genes, you fucking bitch. I don't have a son. I just got this thing that lives in my living room, and I don't know what to do with it other than throw beer at it.
I bet you that is a thing, though, where somebody's like, they have to compete to be like, I'll show you who's the most conservative person in this household. Yeah, you think you are conservative, you fucking pussy. I'll start my own.
You ever gone on lynching? What? No. Yeah, that's what I fucking thought. I'm not sure if that's as conservative as much as it is just, a hate crime. Yeah, same thing in my mind.
And then there's another booth there too that was like one of those like pro-military ones, but you could tell that it had no affiliation like with the actual military. So they could probably make like other kind of shirts and things like that that would probably not even be approved by the military.
Well, there's like so many of this. Is like I don't want to. This is gonna go. This could very easily slip into a political conversation. I don't want to do that because I'm in too good of a mood. But there is a lot of like these alt right groups that just like you don't trust the government, yet we're patriots, and they have like this total like we gotta fight the power. We gotta get ready to take on the government. Yet they have like all this. They advertise all this camo and all this stuff. I've been seeing some of the stuff at like these alt-right rallies. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this whole sense of like, we're patriots, yet we hate the fucking government. Yeah, we're ready to go to war at any point.
I always feel that's such an awkward one where it's like, okay, you want to be as patriotic as possible, but yet nothing that the government does is good. So aren't you like totally not? I mean, like, I guess you are. You could still be patriotic without. I mean, you don't have to agree with those things, but it's just kind of weird just to have those like extreme like values. Like, I got my American flag, but I don't really believe anything the American flag stands for. But in my mind, this is how America should be. That's what it almost reminds me of. It's like that guy who just he dreams of like the ideas of like what he wants are completely different than like the place he's at. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like he shows up to like a group of somebody else's and wants to change everything around. It's like, well, why'd you even join this group in the first place? And
then they have this idea of like, you're silencing my speech. You're silencing my ways by not telling me I can't tell you what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like those kind of attitudes.
Well, my thing is, like you said, you kind of got these guys who, what was it? You said, I believe you could be, fuck, I can't even talk today. I know what I want to say. It's on the tip of my tongue. I believe you can criticize your own government and still like it. Like I currently hate the main administration we got running it, but I still love my country. But at the same time, though, I still don't entirely trust the government. But it's more this thing of like, I believe there's probably some good people in the government. I mean, not filled with them, but I believe there's still some good people there. And I think that, fuck, this is getting too political. We'll shift gears pretty soon. But I feel like that. Fuck.
It's like that Brad Pitt movie on Netflix. It was like by the end of that movie, it felt weird, but I felt like, you know what? Maybe we should continue in Afghanistan. It's like, wait a second, this is going against everything I. That movie was almost convincing me that it's like, oh man, you know what? I want Brad Pitt to finish this war. But then I go, wait a second, it's not Brad Pitt finishing that war. Now is it?
Because you just want Brad, dye your hair gray and get back over there.
Get back over there.
No, I mean, I guess it's one of those things like. I do believe there are probably politicians that do care. I think a lot of them really don't. And I understand if people want change and want to go against the grain. I get that. But I feel like you got people who do not want to go, who do not really want to change the government for the better. They want to do it more for themselves. More like, I don't want them to take away my guns. Like, they're not looking to take away your guns. They want my guns. And they just,
they take it personal, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah, they go to like this Alex Jones level of conspiracy theory type shit.
But I don't know what it is. It's just like I feel like that you could have a good biopic on like many. You could have like one of these biopics that goes like across like 3 of these people like at the fair. Like it cuts back and forth as the movie goes on. You know what I mean? And it's like
4 rooms kind of thing.
Yeah, like or like a 4 rooms thing where it's like, okay, you got the gay conservative guy, you got the fucking hippie clown on the unicycle, you got the old man doing his prop comedy still, you got poor Jose who gets in trouble for calling people a Dolomite.
Oh, now like Jose didn't even want to do it. Jose was like dared to do it.
It
was like the one fuck up he made.
they were running the fucking Ferris wheel, and it gets kind of boring after a while. So
now it's like the guy running the Republican T-shirt stand. It's his goal to just see that they're deported.
Yeah, because it got to interconnect somehow, some way. He's like, back in my day, who worked carnies it was a bunch of white people. It was a bunch of these foreigners coming across the border to work our carnival rides. Well, do you want to work the carnival? Fuck no, I don't want to work the carnival rides. I like working the Republican booth here.
There is a there's that what was I gonna say? There's
it's air conditioning here. I ain't fucking leaving.
No, there's the guy who is super like shrill and like, oh no, like maybe that's the guy they call the Tuolumite. Like he's like, I don't like the word Tuolumite.
like this is how it all interconnects. And then just Mr. Obnoxious just kind of
you're hetero.
And then Mr. Obnoxious just kind of runs through. Oh, I forgot to say that he would play songs like on his speaker things, blasting out as he's riding by, singing along to him too. So he found multiple ways to be more obnoxious.
This guy sounds like just a homeless person from San Francisco with like who could bounce on a unicycle.
That's like a homeless guy with skills. Well, that's probably true. I think that's how a lot of these people are. I think a lot of these people, I'm guessing, don't even have homes. I bet you they just literally like live out of their vans and fucking travel from like fair to fair, like gypsies, and this is what they do. I mean, good for them if this is like they got something going, but I bet you it is one of those ones like it ain't a good life. It's just one of those ones, just all we got left.
I don't know. I feel like that's a. I feel
it's like a Bruce Springsteen song.
There's a John Sturges movie in there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. No, just imagining just like the opening to like Way of the Gun, just these two guys living in their car, just like we just live on the essentials. Shot to come, get you by for a week, little bit of blood, maybe 2 weeks. And you just see these two guys changing in the middle of the car, just drinking beer, whatever. You just see this dude just putting on his overalls, his tie-dye colored hat.
Yeah, with like tie-dye do-rag on.
Adjusting the chain on his unicycle. Before he gets out there on the show, like, hey, fuckhole, stop riding around in front of my car. Shut that cunt's mouth up before I go over there and fuck start her head.
He's yelling at the Republican guy.
You know, wish he never fucking said that, asshole. Punches out the fucking like Republican guy's girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he actually juggles. He juggles so fastly and throws the shit at her.
Yeah, he just like fucking chucks it across the way, like the bowling pin juggling things, or whatever the fuck they are. Juggling pin.
Of course, they get the shit kicked out of them. They're like, okay, on to the next state fair.
Yeah, on to the next fair. We just keep going to each one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Weird stuff. But speaking of other very politically driven movies, did you see that new Planet of the Apes movie?
Yeah, I saw it. I'll say right now, I liked it. It's probably, I like the second one the most out of this new trilogy, then probably this one, then probably the first one.
Yeah, the second one's definitely probably my favorite, but I have to say, I think this is probably the best trilogy, like, in the last 15 years. Like,
I've heard a lot of people say that.
Like, I think it's just one of those ones, like, it's just, like, something, one, it's way different. Two, it's like it uses something that's already a great movie, but then just adds all these extra elements to it. And then three, it's just like, all three of them are all fucking fantastic. Like, way better than almost like you would even think they would be, I guess, at first glance. It's just one of those ones, like, I start thinking, I'm like, just comparing to, like, other trilogies out there, I'm like, I don't know, dude, this is, like, totally, like, one of the best ones.
Definitely more, I think it's also one of the more weird sleeper trilogies, because when one would come out, it'd be like, oh, we'll see how this goes, and then it catches people off guard by how good it is. Like, the first one...
kind of just came out.
Yeah, it just came out, and everybody's reaction, like, okay, so they're just monkeys in cages that suddenly get smart. Okay, and then you see the movie, because I remember I didn't go into it.
Well, because yeah, you say it like that, and it just kind of sounds like, oh, that sounds okay. You know what I mean? That sounds like amazing, but
well, I remember going to see the first one, and I wasn't like totally like you know beret toss like this is gonna be so stupid. But I went to go see it like okay, let's just see how this turns out, and not really sure what to think. And then I ended up loving it. And then the second one was even better, and this one better than the first one, but not as good as the second one, but still a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's because also, I'll say this, I think the title sort of misleads you a little bit, because it's called, like, War of the Planet of the Apes. You're like, oh, fuck, this is going to be filled with, like, tons of action. But really what it is, it's like a prison break movie.
Yeah, it's a lot more like The Great Escape.
So, like, I guess that kind of threw me off a little bit, because I was thinking it was going to be a little bit, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but, like, I'm almost more expecting, like, oh, it's going to be monkey versus man the whole way. You know what I mean? It's like, it's going to be like a war movie where there's going to be, like, an hour-long battle of, like, the Bulge somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna fucking protect the Sierras! Like, we gotta take the hill!
I thought it was gonna have this ending of, like, I didn't think, actually, but I was hoping. Like, this is the one. Are they gonna do it? Are they gonna finally do it? It just cuts to black. Just starts Brass Monkey by Beastie Boys starts playing for the closing credits.
It just goes for it.
I was hoping. I mean, they had 3 movies to do it. Like, this is the one. This is the one. Your last opportunity. Like, they didn't do it. But at the same time, I'm not entirely surprised. I was just hoping.
Yeah. Well, kind of hoping there, but no, like, overall, though, this one's, it's amazing how, like, powerful these movies can kind of be, too, I think. At the same time, you know, it's like, makes you want, you know, Woody Harrelson, is always one of the best bad guys. He can play one of the best any characters, but whenever you put Woody Harrelson as like the scary bad guy, it's always good. And I like how like they start explaining like everything kind of fades more into like the nice thing about this trilogy too is I like how they treat like the original movies with like a lot of respect. Like they don't do the thing where like some movies when they go like fuck those old ones, we're doing our own thing. You know what I mean? Like these ones feels like no, it's like we're gonna really fucking lead up to Planet of the Apes. Like you know, like cause for a while there it's kind of like I had this kind of a half thing. It's like okay, are they leading up actually to Planet of the Apes, or are they going to do kind of like their own thing? And then it's like, as those movies kept going on, it's like, oh no, dude, they literally are like going exactly up, like as a total prequel to the original movies. And I think that's really cool.
I thought they weren't. I thought they were just kind of like, at first it seemed like maybe it was a prequel, but then they kind of broke away from that because Caesar is the one who's sent back in time in the other ones. And then, Bright Eyes, what they called,
Charleston Heston.
Charles, that's what they called him, and that was Caesar's mother's name. And then Nova, she's like
that's the girl that Charleston Heston meets.
Yeah, she's the hot cave girl, and then in that she's a little girl, and I think he got more time between here and there, and for her to become like, because I guess that's the only thing. I mean,
it feels like it does feel like it's been like 100+ years.
Yeah, it feels a lot longer than, just maybe I'm going to assume that the time frame of these Apes movies have been like 15 years. I'm going to assume that's the time frame it's been over the course of 15 years or so.
Between Rise to the war, the end.
To end of war. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, probably something like that if I had to guess,
Because they're still building standing and all that.
Yeah, they still got the buildings and everything like that, but they never really shown too much more other than like San Francisco area and north of that, and this one was kind of cool. It's like, oh fuck! I was assuming they're probably somewhere because they were in the Sierras in this one, and I was trying to figure out exactly what place that was supposed to be, but
I was assuming probably like either California-Oregon border or California-Nevada border.
Oh, it's definitely the California-Nevada border. It's definitely not the Oregon border because there's a desert on the other side.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So it's totally like they're going towards like Reno. That's what I kind of assumed.
I kind of forgot they go to the desert at the end. That's right. So yeah, it would be California, Oregon, California, Nevada border.
Yeah, and they were in the Sierras, so yeah, that's what I was guessing. It's somewhere like if you're going towards Reno. So if they were like in Donner, Truckee area, Squaw Valley, because there's a ski resort thing. Like so that's the direction I was assuming they were kind of going.
No, I thought this one's pretty. Spoilers ahead, folks, but yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe this because I've heard people make comparisons, say, "Oh no, it clicks right in perfectly," because you can see people are starting to. There's a virus that's kind of coming back around, and people are losing certain like motor functions and motor skills and not being able to talk. So, and that's actually because the other one, I just assume you assume it's been so long. People have learned how to speak, and apes just treat them like animals, so they never got education. You just assume that. But this one's like, oh no, it was a disease. So I guess that in itself could make it seem like less time than it has been, because even the first one, they say, oh, yep, we sent some boys up into space.
Yeah. And that's like, oh, they came back down, but they didn't realize that. They thought they went somewhere else. Instead, they just floated around the planet for God knows how long, 100 years.
Yeah, maybe it was like, oh no, it was actually 2 years, as it turns out.
Well, you could almost still say it's like, well, maybe Charleston Heston was still sent up there in like '69, and he's just been floating around this whole time. Well, that's also the thing. Charleston Heston? Well, he's been floating around space.
Well, they actually show how everything kind of leads up into the other one, because the other one don't, in like number 4 and number 5, don't they get across that like there's a disease that's kind of wiping out pets, so chimpanzees are the new pets, and then they get super smart and then they lead up the revolt. But you actually see it's almost like a prequel within itself in the sequels.
They do have like that kind of prequel thing going on there.
So that's the only thing, I guess, that's the thing that's messy about time travel shit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because these movies, I kind of wonder, like, probably, if I had to guess, the next movie they'll make is almost like a remake of Planet of the Apes. Because
maybe they'll show.
Because obviously they're not going to stop making these. I mean, these things do really well. You know.
Well, now they're also at the point of view of the apes. Where before it's just like they're at the point of view of the
Charles
humans. They're at the point of view of like the first two were at the point of view of humans, and then showing like, well, not all the apes are bad, but they're at the point of the view of the humans. And the second, and then the third one,
third, fourth, fifth, they kind of became more ape-like.
Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering, like, cause I guess that's the only thing. I mean, I'm wrong. I like these movies a lot. I'm not going to let this stop it, but it's just like seeing Caesar being as kind of like, we need to make peace. We need to make friends with the humans. And then as soon as he dies, fuck it. That little girl he became friends with, throw that bitch in a fucking cage.
Yeah, it's just like, but probably when Maurice passes away, that's the first thing they do.
Or maybe that's something that happens.
Maurice is the only one to protect him or her.
Well, maybe that's like a tragedy because Cornelius is like the little monkey, and that's like the philosopher monkey from the other movies right there. So
there could be that case too. So just he's like Maurice passed away. Good, we got rid of that one, that human-loving ape.
Fucking lefty.
Yeah, now we can get back to our Republican, ideals.
Now we're gonna get back to being like, we're gonna get back to being like political for a second here. Did you kind of get a sense of, like that alt-right shit in this movie?
Well, because pretty much all the humans are like all right.
Yeah, they're like alt-right. Like they have the whole like American flag. Like, they're doing the whole like we need to cleanse the species and that whole shit of like we're also building a wall. I mean that was just coincidental because they're making a wall around their base, but they really had an emphasis. Why are you making this wall?
Well, because they had that sort of thing where it's just like, well, the way I kind of looked at it is that Woody Harrelson was like the extremist of everybody. He was the guy who was like, you know what? I shot my own kid in front of everybody just to prove a point that, okay, now everybody else start shooting your family members. And then when they didn't shoot theirs, I killed them all.
Mm-hmm.
Woody. Just starts chanting. But they do have like that kind of like, almost like they're a bunch of like, I guess like the end of like neo-Nazi like people, because they're supposed to be technically like the last, and then there's like the army that comes, and that's like the last of the last like military organized people. And
they all just turn and like look to Caesar as the avalanche is coming down. So I like that part.
I like that one guy just turns and looks like, it's just the look on his. I know he's wearing a ski mask and everything like that, but he just has a like
body
look,
posture and all that.
He's like, is that a fucking monkey over there? Like he just has that look. Like he turns and looks like he was not expecting that at all.
Well, I thought he was gonna die right then and right there, but then as it turns out, and like, oh, okay, the avalanche comes, and then I was like, this is on too high of a note just for it to be good and for it to be a happy ending. They're not gonna give us just a sweet little happy ending. All of a sudden, I see he's bleeding out. Like, yep, there it is.
Well, it's the weird thing too is this movie. It's like I knew that Caesar was not gonna make it. You knew he was not gonna make it, but it had that thing in my mind. I was like, I want him to make it though.
Oh, yeah, you definitely want Caesar to make it. I thought something else was going to happen. I thought that, like, I didn't know if it was going to be Caesar dying. I figured he'd die, but I was expecting something a little bit more bleaker to end, you know?
Yeah, like, it's not like he made it there or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, like, it has, like, the perfect ending for, like, the way it went. Like, I was like, nope, I like that the whole way through. You know,
because they said they're going to do more of them. They said this is the end of this trilogy. We're no longer. This is just the end. This is the end of Caesar's story. We're moving on to the next group of characters. So maybe we see like the apes becoming more tyrannical, and just the apes within trying to stop that from happening. It becomes kind of like a tragedy.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. It's either going to be like a full-on Planet of the Apes, like kind of like remake. I mean, it like won't go exactly the same way. It will kind of go like with a lot more story stuff added into it, or they'll do something where like maybe do like a prequel to that one. Maybe Planet of the Apes is the middle one, and then they kind of finish off of, because the second one almost has that like total like the bomb. Because Charleston Heston's like, fuck this, the bomb's going off,
kill us all, you bastards.
Yeah. So it's like, so you could almost do a perfect trilogy between like having almost like a prequel to the first one, and the second one, and then doing it like, you know, in a brand new style. Like that doesn't have to follow the exact same way. I don't really care. Or whatever way these guys choose, it's going to be the right way. That's all I have to say.
Or the psychic radiated people that live underneath the city.
Yeah, you got those people too. So you could there's all kinds of elements you can go into. So I can't wait because these movies are just so fantastic.
It seems like this is like the one of the few franchises Fox is just kind of like, all right, we'll let you do it. We might fuck it up. Just do what you do. Because like they seem like really ballsy move. The most recent two seem kind of ballsy choices. Like a good portion of these movies, this one especially, is just monkeys talking in sign language.
Yeah, sign language slash like broken English. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's even like how like the second one was too. It's kind of like, I mean, there's, and it's like the thing is, it's like it's because they choose just the right word. It's almost like if you take any conversation and you just minus out all like the in between words, it would make it sound sophisticated and perfect English and all that stuff. But you minus those out to just the important words. That's what they are in Planet of the Apes. And it's like I think by just having the important words, you get the exact same feeling across, but you don't have any of like the clutter in between. It sounds strange. It sounds like a way to say like, hey, maybe we should all start talking more primal, but only speak the main words you want to say.
Well, I'll say, I mean, I can only imagine how goofy the script must look to when they make it to Dawn of Planet of the Apes, when they're just being kind of like all these monkeys talking in sign language, these ones talking in broken English. Like that's got to look goofy, but then to have the actors the actors with their motion pull it off. B, the level of CG and artistry that goes into that. C, the voice acting of the actors actually sounding believable. And I think one thing is I like that Maurice barely ever talks. He says one word in number 1, and that's like go. And then they give him like a couple lines of dialogue for the right perfect moments in number 3. And they actually say the one time Maurice gets mad and he's yelling at Bad Ape, he's like, nah! It's actually scary for a second.
Yeah, I know. He gets I like the Bad Ape character too. How this guy was just from like the zoo.
He's just so, you feel bad for him because you could tell he's just been through hell and he's just ready to collapse.
He reminded me like he was much older than a lot of the other apes too, because he just felt like kind of like an old man. Like, no, we ain't going in there. That's a bad place. Mm-hmm. And he had the little outfits on too, which just makes
his little outfit that kind of lets he's the much more of like. Well, I guess it makes sense. If he was from the zoo, he's probably way more like less survival instincts and all that.
Yeah. Plus, it's like, well, he was at like a ski resort, so he's using the stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I liked. I really can't. The only thing I can lightly complain about is I think third act it kind of slows down a little bit because it's a lot of hey Caesar, tell him to work. No.
Yo, you mean the second act? Almost, I guess.
I thought that was more maybe this a little bit of the second act. I mean, because it leads up to the third act. I mean, okay, first act. Yeah, I guess that is the second act.
Yeah, because the second act's pretty much when Caesar gets captured.
First act, the search. Second act, the capture. Third act, I guess I kind of lead a little bit into the escape and then the whole capturing. Because the third act would seem a lot shorter then. But parts near the end of the second act where they keep on having that back and forth, like, you tell them to work. No, I'm not going to do that. You tell them to work. We'll give them food. Fuck you. Fuck you. That back and forth, after a while, it kind of dragged a little, but it wasn't enough to make me bored of the movie. And then it kind of picks up once the other remaining apes out there, like Rocket, Nova, even though she's a human, and Bad Ape start to break them out. That's where it kind of picks up again. And I like it. They finally did it. I know it might seem a little lower on the totem pole spectrum,
but it was the perfect place to do it.
They're like, okay, it's the last one. We gotta do a monkey throwing shit joke. Just one, and this movie will still be very philosophical.
And it works. So it's the most like logical one. It's like, hey, we're in prison. Guess what we have that a human doesn't? Well, I guess they could do, but.
And it was a way that you could actually get them to say a line from the original films without it seeming forced. Because even the first one, I mean, I like the movie. I really do like the first one a lot. The of the new trilogy, but they really force those lines like it's a madhouse. It's all fucking Draco from fucking Harry Potter that gets him across too.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, it's a madhouse. Ha, 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 ha. Remember that line? Kind of backing away. And then there's the line, get your damn paws off me, you damn dirty ape. So, but this one, they use the part where he's like, you animals! Which I think he would be shocked and grossed out if you just got pegged with a fucking turd.
Yeah, it's like a big old sloppy one, too.
Yeah, and like how you see Rocket, like, tossing it like it's a fucking baseball, like he's getting ready to go again.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, no, I'll say that same thing too. I do think that the prison part, well, because I'll say this, because the only thing about prison movies, and this thing is just after you watch so many prison movies, it's tough to make a prison movie feel different. You know what I mean? There's only so many different things you can kind of do in a prison break movie. And I think that's about the only thing is, I mean, even though it's like, okay, what's different in this one? Well, it's apes breaking out, to these like evil humans. But I mean, that feels still similar to a lot of other like prison movies. You know what I mean? So I think that's about the only thing is like, and I guess once again I'll say because it's got War of the Planet of the Apes in the title. I was expecting maybe a little bit more like monkeys on horses with guns like blasting their way through stuff. Which strangely enough, that's what Dawn of Planet of the Apes seems to have a lot more of.
Yeah, there's a lot more of it in that one. I think because this one's just kind of revving up for it. I guess this one had helicopters and all that shit. So
yeah, you did have a helicopter, which that is a pretty sweet scene because he's like, I feel like because you didn't expect the helicopters to come flying in there. It's like, oh fuck.
I kind of like this movie's because I assumed it would be almost not that it doesn't care, not that it doesn't like what it's doing, but I almost assumed it'd be something kind of like, oh yeah, these monkeys, you remember them? Oh, they'll just pull this guy in from the next one. This movie really cares about its continuity because it's making. I thought, okay, Koba, he was the bad guy in the last one. Moving on, but like, no, Koba, no. They actually had their own little like. It seemed like something out of Star Wars, like the apes that broke away from him are now working with the humans.
Yeah,
they know what I'll do.
Donkeys.
Which I thought that was interesting because they have like because they called the enemies like kind of like Charlie. They called them Kongs, and the ones working with them they called donkeys. And there's no way that's not intentional. Yeah. But anyway. I just because I assume that a lot of times when you have like franchise movies, I feel like sometimes they hold on to certain characters and some of the mythology and they just kind of move forward. Other times I feel like they just kind of like, yeah, let's just like. I think this movie paid attention more to its continuity more than the first like 3 X-Men movies.
Oh, I think so by far because I mean this one like would like either like when the one ape kind of like dies, it's like he uses that line. He's like, at least this time I protected you. Because that was a callback to the Dawn, I think, was in that one. But it's like one of those ones like, yeah, it's just like it sticks with them. And I think that's kind of like, I like that. I just think this trilogy is just treated, I think it's treated, as I said, like, I'm just going to compare this to like other trilogies. And even these ones I like, but I feel like this one is like so perfect. Like, okay, let's take like the Star Trek trilogy that's, came out. I love that Star Trek trilogy, not saying anything against it. But this one I feel is like, oh, everything about it, all 3 of them are pure perfect, you know what I mean? All just really good. Or like even like the Hobbit trilogy, like don't get me wrong, I like the Hobbit trilogy a lot too, but I still think that the Planet of the Apes one is just so just tied in as perfectly as can be. Everyone's good. The characters are so well rounded.
Like it's one of those things like the first one, Rocket was there and he was kind of like the bully to Caesar. Second one, he's there in the background, but not as much. But the third one, that's where Rocket really has a chance to shine. And I was like, I assume that's a character they just tossed to the side in this one. But no, this is like, okay, this is his turn to kind of come out and be more of a well-rounded character.
Yeah, just so many little things like that. Yeah, it's just one of the ones like such great parts of getting all that in there. And then just even getting, and even the Koba thing. Like the Koba thing was the whole like, this was like almost the thing is like Caesar was like, I have to go get revenge, Woody Harrelson killed my family, and it's like, and there's even that part like, dude, you can't do that. You'll become Koba if that's the case. And then he almost like gets that point where he's like, no, I have to, and maybe I am Koba. Maybe we aren't that much different from each other.
Yeah, I kind of liked how the movie was willing to go there, and I mean, not that it's like super like, not that it's like it said the hard to say things, but it definitely kind of held on to it where I feel like other things just kind of move on to the next thing. Like, well, this one's just another villain or whatever,
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, it just sort of changes. I don't know. It just has the dynamic and everything like that. And then it's also got just the kind of the freedom fighting, power, like to back it up. It's, it's like fight the Republicans pretty much at the end of the day. That's pretty much what the movies are all about.
I've heard like, I noticed a lot of people, like sometimes you get people who just like, they're mad when they see like, the humans as the bad guys. Like, let's just mix it up just a little bit. Like, no, the humans always got to be the good guys. Like, why not? Why can't the humans be the bad guys once in a while?
Well, that's the thing that used to bother me as a kid back in the day is older movies where the humans always were portrayed as the good guys when I thought that other things were actually the good guys in it. So I like that we're at a period now where it's like, no, fuck it. Planet of the Apes, give the monkeys, their rights. King Kong. Yeah, King Kong is the good guy. We don't give a fuck about the other things. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that Godzilla thing, too. It's like, Godzilla's not the bad guy. Nobody cares about anybody else except for Godzilla. He's here to protect and destroy.
Protecting through destruction. There you go.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's what I mean. As a kid, like, I always, like, had that feeling like, no, these are the people that I think's the good guys. Like, I didn't really always care for, like, endings where, like, what I thought was the good guy, like, dies, and it's like, then the humans, like, cheer. It's like, no, bullshit.
Yeah. So, and another thing was, I was kind of glad to see, like, because I was wondering, because I could tell that was supposed to be Nova, because she gave him the little Nova
The
emblem.
Chevy Nova.
Yeah, and then like he calls her like Maurice, like one of the few lines he has in the movie. He says, "That's you." Nova's like, "You're Nova." Like, okay, they're making the fish right there. That's supposed to be Nova. So
They have that line where it's like almost like me, ape. No, you're not fucking ape. He just like flips it.
that's where he gets like, that's where he just like grabs her by the neck, like, "No, no." It's mad. Like, oh, okay, we're not there yet.
Just like, you are still not ape.
I'll say that little girl that got to play Nova was just fucking adorable. Like, I'm one of those people, I don't even like kids that much, but I was like, that whole relationship she had with Maurice was just fucking adorable.
Well, because the thing is, it's like, as long as a kid's not annoying in a movie, that's how you create an adorable one. When you make them like fucking Tom Cruise's kids in War of the Worlds, that's how you make kids you want to see die brutally.
Yeah, it's like, well,
like those kids. If those kids were, if the whole movie, if half the movie was just them being slowly murdered by like the tripod walkers, I would be so happy. Not vaporized like everybody else, slowly murdered.
Yeah.
Like an hour's worth of like murdering, like Hostel, but with tripods.
Hostel with Mars tripods to children.
To children, and Tom Cruise being so happy. That's what I want to see.
On the side.
Like fucking high-fiving the tripod. Going to a baseball game with the tripod. The tripod actually respects that.
The whole like base is just like other tripods playing like baseball, like in this red moss covered field, but it's just like, you know what, this human's cool, we're gonna let this one go by.
Yeah.
And so just high-fiving the tripod, and like Thin Lizzy's Boys Are Back in Town starts to play.
Exactly. That would have been my version of War of the Worlds. It would have been amazing. Because that movie's always my go-to movie. Like, you want to know the movie that has horrible children in it? That movie. It's probably not the worst movie of children in it, but it is damn near reminds me of like how children can ruin a movie.
Well, it's like, it's one of those things like love Tom Cruise or hate Tom Cruise. The concept of that movie, I don't know how it doesn't work, just because it's like, it's a sci-fi horror film, which you rarely see. It made it very. I didn't really know much about War of the Worlds. I knew it was an old sci-fi thing, and watching it, I'm like, oh wow, this is actually really a horror movie. I like that. But then you had the fucking like white Goku and Dakota Fanning there fucking it all up.
Yeah, well, the worst part too is because like, okay, if you just minus out all their parts, that movie's fucking amazing. That's the thing that bothers me, is because the movie itself is so fucking awesome. They just find a way to like have some obnoxious kids like bring it down.
Well, plus just the scene, like there's like some genuinely creepy moments in that movie. Like when you first see like somebody, now it's off screen because it's PG-13, but you see some guy getting grabbed and like a needle go into him off screen, and then you see him spraying this red mist everywhere, and they're looking at the vines like, oh shit, they're using us as like plants, it's like harvesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the part where the little girl goes to the river, and then you just see all these bodies just floating down the river, or like a train goes by, the whole train's on fire, like these really great creepy images. But then it's fucked up. Like, do the hand thing. I know we're driving away from the monsters, but you gotta do the hand thing. Like, this is your space, whatever, fuck you, just get away from the fucking monster.
Yeah, exactly. It's just stuff like that. Like, Steven Spielberg just needs to remake that movie and just make it without the kids. Like, that's.
Well, the thing is, he's usually good at handling, like, that sounds wrong, but you know what I mean.
He's good with children. He's like the kind of guy that you could safely, you know, him, Michael Jackson, you could safely leave your kids with. And
well, no, I'm saying like, I'm gonna say like Spielberg. He's the guy who's good at like using like with having children in his movies. Like, he kind of helped create the you know, the smart aleck, you know, kids that can kind of get into danger but kind of get out of danger at the same time. Like Jurassic Park, even though there's the one stupid part where she's fighting a flashlight like a fucking idiot. Yeah. Beyond that though, Jurassic Park,
Short Round.
What was that? Short Round. He only produced this, but The Goonies has a lot of that same vibe. You know, he kind of him and Stephen King kind of created some of that kind of kids on bicycles that are kind of like, you know, the tough kids but can kind of handle themselves.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
E.T.
Yeah, all kinds of things. So it's weird that he's like, I guess after a while, you're just bound to like screw up somehow. But
yeah, I guess you are bound to scoop somehow eventually.
Because even like you think about Jurassic Park 3, it's like who's the smarter one? It's the kid, not the parents. Like it even has that kind of like thing going on with it.
He didn't even direct that. Did he produce that one?
He produced it, but
okay,
it's still like under the Steven name. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things where that's true because he's like that. He's the kid's all like Jumanji'd out, running through the fucking woods with like oh, it's T-Rex pee.
Yeah, want a swig? What if he's just getting all fucking like high on? He's like pouring it. He's like just sniffing this pee,
sniffing it like it's a rag of gasoline.
Yeah.
Like they just lose the mission. They just lay out like in this fucking like in this fucking bunker, like strung out on fucking just like strung out on dino piss, eating Butterfingers.
And then at the point it's like Alan's like, he's like, dude, give me some more of that T-Rex pee. He's like, we're all out, fucking all out, fucking all out. Just like freaking out. He's like, we gotta go get some, man. They're just out, just like fucking searching around like a bunch of crack addicts, like running through.
I love that one more than the one we got.
Just running around trying
to come across his parents' like bones, like, oh yeah, that happened. Whatever, just keep going.
He looks. He's like, "Do you think we could grind up their bones and snort those? I don't know. Grab them. We'll find out." Finally runs across Billy. He's like, "Alan, we got to get you out of here." No, man. No. Have you sniffed this yet? Just like shoves his rag in his face.
Like chloroform. All of it. It'll get you high as fuck. Fuck excavation, man. Fuck dinosaurs. Fuck my assistant who's now married and I saved her life multiple times. Fuck that bitch, man. Yeah, it's all about this piss, bro.
Just like they never come back. Just out there hanging out, just like them and a boy.
Just the three of them just stuffing dino piss. But the thing is, it's only the predator piss. It's only predator piss.
Yeah. They're like, we tried that fucking Brontosaurus one. Didn't fucking work out.
It doesn't work out.
Tried the Stegosaurus thing. Didn't work out.
It's all the blood. It's all the meat, you know. And then once it's kind of in slow season, like him and Billy are like, look, man, I'm talking to you because it's slow season. A lot of the other like herbivores, they're in hiding from the carnivores. Though we got something ready for him right here. The kid's all passed out from huffing piss earlier that day. We just like, they just dose him heavy. Like we just got to give him a heavy dose, man. No, man, that's the last of it. Yeah, but think of what can come after it, man. Just think, if we could just be strong just for one day. They just like give him so much, kid passes out. They leave him strung up on a fucking like tree for like a T-Rex.
Sacrificing. Oh.
Then it comes. Then they just track that T-Rex for a number of days, just waiting. Like it's gonna happen at some point.
A couple vials, like a couple jugs strapped on their back, waiting to fill it.
And then oh shit, this is where it gets dark. This is where it gets really dark. Next time it takes a piss is right in its fucking nest. It's like shit. Okay, you know what? And they like. They get all the piss. Then they see the baby T-Rex is like, you know what, man. Feeling ballsy. What if we had our own T-Rex? We get the source all the time.
So they're fucking dragging it back to the tanker.
Get the thing in a headlock. Fucking go. They have to muzzle the thing, so they're just farming T-Rex piss. Getting this constant source.
Yeah, Zach.
How the fuck did they get here?
This is where the third movie goes. I did not expect that. Oh.
It's just like into some like fucked up, like it's almost animal cruelty. Like the thing, like they'll go out and find smaller animals to feed it, so they like get this constant stream.
It's just in this cage, and the only way they know how to build is they put like a fucking like wheel in there for it to run on. It's just got this water jug, so it can just constantly piss, and then it's just hooked up like on a machine that they've made. It's just like pumping it, it's like on its dick, just going.
But being junkies,
they create all these fucking like Pee Wee Herman gadgets.
Being junkies, though, they don't realize they're not letting things happen naturally. They're finding everything small and just trying to feed this thing. And naturally, this thing's going to get fucking bigger. They still kind of create a bigger cage for it as time goes on, and one of the buildings manage to level it off, and other dinosaurs know not to go near there because they cover the thing.
With piss.
So yeah, with piss.
It's just piss everywhere.
They got the means for it now, but they're almost like it's almost it's almost fucking up the food chain. Them just bringing smaller dinosaurs to this thing to eat. So
and then there's becoming less and less small dinosaurs.
There's getting less and less things to feed it. So then that's where it gets back to the final act of like Billy or Grant. Just like by this point, they just got those full on like beards down to their fucking knees. Like, here, man. Like you know.
Just like
they're wearing like old, tied up like Jurassic Park clothing from
the merchandise booth.
Yeah.
Their beards are just stained yellow.
Now listen, Han, listen.
They, for some product placement, since T-Rex piss always looked like Mountain Dew, they just got 2 big old Mountain Dew jugs, like containers, fucking carrying like the piss.
Yeah. Mountain Dew was the only one agreeing to the scripts and product placement.
Yeah, they're fine. They said they're fine at the product placement. This actually defines like a quarter of their audience.
Yeah. My thing is, what if they just go in there with this idea of, okay, Jurassic Park wants our product in their movie. They want a product in our movie? Yeah, Jurassic Park does. Okay, you want to see the script? It's Jurassic Park. It'll make money. Look,
yeah.
Oh, what the fuck? They're just chugging piss out of like Starbucks cups. Right in the camera to see.
He's like, oh, that's always a good way to start the morning.
I got this shit on tap.
Using the Starbucks tap. Fucking like Pepsi machine.
Oh, fuck. We are bad people.
I don't know. I'd see that movie.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'd see it too. It doesn't make me a good person.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it just sounds hilarious. Plus, it just sounds so ballsy. And I like how it ties into the continuity of Jurassic Park still.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like it's leading itself astray, and it's not like it's trying to do. It's not trying like it's trying to make the other sequels seem like they didn't happen.
I don't think Jurassic World makes it seem like the others didn't happen. I just think
I don't think it makes it. I think people make it out like that.
People almost like, you don't have to see any of them. You just can see the first one and then this one. That's all you need to see, because it makes more like nods to the first one, but it's not like none of it ever happened. You even see like Jeff Goldblum's book on like the bus somewhere in like that movie.
Yeah, you see this book, and it's like and then there is the not the Spinosaurus. There's a skeleton in the park. But I mean, like, the only thing though is like, I just wish you acknowledged them more. It's kind of like it has the exact same thing. It's like, even though I love that movie, it has the exact same problem that I've had with like sort of the new Star Wars movies, where they don't. It's not like they say it's like, oh, 1, 2, and 3 didn't happen. It's just they really just do not acknowledge them at all. Like, I think that kind of bothers me. It's like, no, acknowledge that shit.
They're getting there little by little, because they acknowledge Mustafar in Rogue One, and then they even say maybe we should go back to using a clone army in Force Awakens. And they have the same actor who played Bail Organa from Episode 3 in Rogue One.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have like little things, but I feel like they need more of that. I mean, I understand at first they wanted to just like ixnay the 1, 2, and 3 audience and just go with the 4, 5, and 6 audience. But now it's to the point it's like, okay, fuck the 4, 5, and 6 audience. I want the 1, 2, and 3 audience now to get a little bit more shine.
They'll get there.
That's why I just hope.
You just gotta wait for that generation that grew up watching those.
We just gotta wait for the fucking like baby boomers / Generation X ones to go away so we can get our better Star Wars.
Oh, Skype being Skype.
Yeah, something happened to the internet there. I lost your camera there too.
Let me turn that shit back on. Luckily, I'm recording on my end, so. Which comes.
I like how it's like it gets to the point where it's like the last line, if that was the end of the podcast, was like, yeah, to make our Star Wars movies better, we just gotta wait for Generation X and the baby boomers to die off, and then our Star Wars movies will be perfect.
I don't know. I'm one of those people. I'm okay. I like the prequels. I'm not in love with them, but I like the prequels. I liked them more when I was a little younger. But I think that you will get people more of our generation who probably did grow up and are more okay or to liking the prequels to start making their Star Wars movies, and they'll probably lead into it little by little. I want to say this though, our alternate Jurassic Park 3 does not fuck with the continuity of Jurassic World. So You know.
Yeah.
If they wonder where Alan Grant and what happened to Billy, you know.
Yeah, doesn't mess with that.
Go to other island. Just like, what's going on at this other island? Oh my God! You know. He has this dino piss empire.
When I went to go check my internet to make sure I was fine, got some tragic news from Cisco.
What's that?
George A. Romero died.
George A. Romero died? Dang.
Apparently.
Who?
I mean, that's once again. He's pretty old, so I mean, like, bound to happen. But still,
he might come back.
Like, yeah, he could come back. By his movies, there is a high chance that he could come back.
Yeah, he could be. Maybe be fucked up. I think George A. Romero would chuckle at that joke. I think he would.
Yeah, he would enjoy that. He would appreciate that. But he is one of the ones, like, when I think of, like, some of my favorite horror movies of all time, dude, both Night of the Living Dead and fucking Dawn of the Dead. Because Dawn of the Dead is, like, one of my all-time favorite movies.
Not Creepshow.
Yeah, he did Creepshow.
What's the one
with there's Creepshow with Stephen King.
That's Creepshow. Then I'm thinking of Fright Night. Yeah, Creepshow. He did do Creepshow.
Mm-hmm. You know, and then even all the other zombie ones he did too. But, like, I always think Dawn of the Dead, like, the original one, so good. So that is a bummer that but at the same time, it's like, he probably was like 80-something years old.
He kept on working. He didn't stop. He just kept on going.
No, he kept on making stuff, like, all the way till the very end. So you got to give him credit there.
Yeah. Well, it sucks that he's gone, but at the same time, though, it's like I guess it's not as sudden as, say, someone like Chris Cornell going, because Chris Cornell is still pretty young. But at the same time, though, it just sucks knowing that he's gone. But at the same time, he got a lot done, though. So
yeah, he got a lot done, and he was old. Like, I mean, like, once again, once you kind of breach 70, I feel like from that point on, everything else is bonus years. That's how I look at it. Mm-hmm. Past 70, it's all bonus. So you really can't complain. Everything else is just like, I got my bonus years in. But it's kind of like when it's before that, that's always kind of like, such a bummer. But still a bummer anyways. But great movies to be had there. So if you've never seen a George A. Romero movie, I don't know. You are missing out. You're missing out on some of the best horror movies.
I'm going to say my favorite George A. Romero movie, and this is probably no big shocker, but Dawn of the Dead. Original Dawn of the Dead by George A. Romero. Oh, yeah.
Original Dawn of the Dead. That's in my top 3 favorite horror movies of all time. That's how much I like that movie. Mm-hmm. It's just so good. It's like the best zombie interpretation ever. And plus, what I like about it has the good ending. You know, where other movies just don't always have the good endings, like both the black guy and the girl get out. Fine. Nobody dies. It's like that's perfect. That's what I like about the movie.
That's the only thing about Night of the Living Dead is it's just you're almost out of there. You're almost out of there. And some dumb redneck had to shoot him. And that's my only problem with the movie. But at the same time, though, I get it's so close yet so far kind of tragedy of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's one of those ones as the 60s movie, I get it. I don't like how in the remake they do the same ending, though. It's like, come on, guys. It's the 90s. Can't he be free?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But still, I like both of them a lot, but just saying. But yeah, well, I guess that's leaving off on a sort of a sad note. Well, it's more like a remembrance note, I think. But that's probably a good place to wrap up the whole show and everything like that. Carnies, Planet of the Apes, George A. Romero, and Huffing T-Rex pee. Good times to be had there. I want to see this movie. Like, where's this, like, if you're going to do Jurassic World 2, I want this to be like some, like, go back in time part. Make it like kind of like Godfather Part 2. So we have like our regular story going, and then all of a sudden we go back to like what Alan Grant and Billy are up to.
It's having like they're almost just farming it out of that island from the
they start selling it. They start making a business.
Yeah, take it overseas. They have dinosaurs for attack dogs, like on muzzles and shit.
They just got a bunch of Costa Ricans to start like shipping it across the border.
You could have some like, you could have some like drug selling montage with like Rolling Stones, like Heartbreaker playing. Heartbreaker with your 44, grab you right between the eye. That song is they're just like do 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 do. You just see him just like hauling like loads of piss off planes.
It's all like in Mountain Dew jugs. That's how they like ship it across so nobody knows. Once again, Mountain Dew was totally fine with this product placement.
Yeah. Footage of just like stacks of bills piling up while Alan Grant is like just smoking cigars. Makes him the new Tony Montana.
Yeah. Of Isla Nublar. Or no, which one? They're on Isla... So they're on that one? Can't remember.
They're on a different... Not the island. I don't remember. There's like 3 or 4 islands.
There's 4 islands, but they only utilize 2 of them.
So yeah,
there's Isla Nublar, which is the original one, I think, and then Isla Sonar is the second one. So that's the one they're on.
Okay, that's the one that Malcolm was on.
Yeah, that's the one Jurassic World was on, or Jurassic. Okay. No, Lost World. Lost World. Getting fucking confused here. But yeah, well, good place to wrap up the episode. All kinds of fun to be had. Other than that, though, make sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, and more. And then check out Pizza Boys, both on Amazon and Comixology. Fun times to be had. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. Won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to Old Man Orange.